Do you use dating apps? A lot of people do. I mean, how else do you meet people these days? Dating apps have become a mainstream part of how we fall in love, despite all of the frustrations and problems with online dating. But what happens when people start to tell the apps that they aren't interested anymore?
Bumble is not having a great public relations run.
Talking about a vow of celibacy is not the answer, so what is the answer? Giving it up to raggedy, undeserving men?
Are you not aware that you can be a woman who dates males and is still celibate?
You are a product being sold.
Bumble, an app originally designed to empower women, has gone through fundamental changes recently, culminating in a series of strange and aggressive ads targeting those who have chosen to be celibate. The ads received substantial backlash, and Bumble took them down and apologized. But this disastrous ad campaign is a microcosm of the world of dating apps. Apps that have every incentive of making sure you don't find a long-term connection and that are much more interested in matching your credit card with their subscription fee than matching you with the love of your life. Dating apps started in the early 2010s, with Tinder bringing them to the mainstream. Over the first few years, many users, particularly women, expressed their frustration with the hookup culture that dominated the app, and sometimes inappropriate and aggressive messages they were getting from men after matching. Whitney Wolfe Herd was one of the co-founders of Tinder and left Tinder during a lawsuit she had against them for sexual harassment. She set out to fix this problem by launching Bumble in 2014, a new dating app that was supposed to empower women with one small feature change. Women had to message first. The launch was a huge success. Bumble had over 100,000 downloads in its first month. It quickly became one of the top dating apps by users and has remained there for the last decade. Everything about Bumble's approach and how Herd envisioned and marketed the app comes down to a feminist app that empowers women. Matches expire after 24 hours, a feature that Herd said is pro-feminist because it empowers women to make the first move quickly. I'm not arguing it isn't those things, but explaining the context of how Bumble saw itself and how they were perceived culturally. As Bumble grew, Match Group, the group that owns Tinder, Match, and OkCupid, among others, approached Bumble with an offer between $500 million to $1 billion to buy the company, allegedly sending multiple offers between 2016 and 2018. Bumble responded with a public letter, one that doubled down on the importance of their culture and values, that accused Match Group of trying to, quote, buy us, copy us, and now to intimidate us. I want to read a few excerpts from this because they have aged like milk. It reads, quote, "We have remained focused on improving our users' experience and taking our mission worldwide until every woman knows she has the power to make the first move, to go after what she wants, and to say no without fear. Quote, we'll never be yours. No matter the price tag, we'll never compromise our values." Despite these impassioned statements, Bumble sold a majority stake to Blackstone for $3 billion in 2019, potentially putting a very real dollar figure on those values which could not be sold. Now, I'm not saying Match Group is a bunch of saints, but declaring your values are not for sale to Match Group, but then selling to a firm known for child labor, deforestation, and extremely predatory rental and eviction practices is an interesting stance to take. Regardless of the ethics, the next 2 years were big for Bumble, who went public in 2021 with a valuation of $13 billion, with $280 million in profit. But things change when you go public. There's an increased pressure to generate revenue and create value for your shareholders. Bumble's user base, paid user base, and revenue increased year over year, but they posted a loss of $80 million in 2022 and $1.9 million in 2023. Dropping their overall valuation to $6 billion, less than it was before they went public in 2020. Bumble shares have dropped 45% since July 2023, and they plan to lay off 350 workers. Whitney Wolfe Herd stepped down as CEO, passing the mantle to Slack CEO Lydiane Jones, and Bumble started going through some aggressive changes. Perhaps the biggest was that Bumble offered a few ways around the women message first feature, which has been their differentiator and, you'll remember, was a key point of that memo they released against Match Group. Women could now post a question on their profile that men could answer once a match has been made, or women could disable the feature that requires them to message first entirely. At the same time these changes were happening, a TikTok trend gained steam discussing voluntary celibacy, which grew into a larger conversation around the toxic, degrading, and sometimes dangerous landscape of hookup and dating culture, particularly for women. The voluntary celibacy conversation is coupled by Gen Z's distaste for dating apps. A 2023 survey of college and graduate students found that 79% don't use dating apps even once a month. Now, those numbers may be misleading. A college campus is a much easier place to find a date in the traditional way than the reality of many people's lives after school. But regardless, it's not just Bumble struggling to retain users and make money. Match Group has seen their stock price drop 40% in the last year as well. Dating apps are struggling to attract a younger audience, which is the audience they need to be successful, and are having even more trouble getting the audience they do have to pay. A study found that 41% of users 30 and over have paid for an app at some point, while just 22% of users under 30 have done so. So the convergence of Bumble bleeding money, Gen Z choosing celibacy over the horrors of online dating, and new leadership at the helm led Bumble to start a new ad campaign to attract younger users. First, they partnered with Twitter's White Boy of the Month, Barry Keoghan, for a classic thirst trap. Then, they decided to introduce their new features by doing this. The response to this campaign was almost universally negative. Creators on social media cited many reasons for this. It delegitimized women's celibacy, it dismissed their valid complaints about how dating apps work, and it went against the core story Bumble has been telling for 10 years, that they are a safe, woman-centric platform and fundamentally different from the hookup culture that Tinder has become known for. Not to mention that celibacy has nothing to do with dating, which is theoretically what the app is for. Bumble apologized, pledged to make some donations to the National Domestic Violence Hotline, and offered the remainder of the billboard time they purchased to domestic violence relief organizations. Despite all of the complicated factors I've laid out, how Bumble got this so wrong may come down to one simple fact. Dating apps don't want you to get a date. Part of the reason that millennials still use dating apps while Gen Z doesn't may be because of how these apps make money. In the early days, the apps made money through ads. Even in that case, app developers were incentivized to keep people on the platform, but everyone more or less got the same experience. Millennials incorporated these apps into their everyday lives during a time when you could use the app for free and still get good results. With the introduction of subscription models, things have changed dramatically. No matter what app you use, they promise a better experience if you pay. More visibility, more connections, more dates. The features stuck behind a paywall are designed to give you FOMO. The app will show you blurred pictures of people who have liked you that can be revealed if you pay. Your daily likes are capped at a relatively small number, and a plethora of other features specific to each app. Apps will even limit your potential dating pool or hide possible matches based on things like how attractive they think you are. Hinge, for example, ranks each user's attractiveness, and in the free version will limit who will show up in your feed to people in the same attractiveness bracket. To unlock the hot people, you have to pay. Sometimes apps will save someone really attractive until you run out of likes for the day, hoping you'll buy more likes. This also has a deeply dystopian feel, sorting humans based on their perceived value and forcing others to pay to even interact with them. And the morally questionable behavior doesn't stop at getting you to pay, it's also how you pay. A 2022 investigation revealed that Tinder was charging users aged 30 to 49 up to 6 times more for premium features than it was for users 18 to 29, a practice that they no longer engage in since being caught. And it's not like you can just switch to a different app with better policies. After all, Match Group itself owns at least 46 dating apps, including Tinder, OkCupid, Hinge, Plenty of Fish, and Archer. All of this informs why Bumble ran the ad campaign that they did. Because the most ideal commodity on a dating app is attractive women interested in hookups. Men are more likely to pay for premium services than women on dating apps. Attractive women bring in male customers, and hookups encourage return customers who won't delete the app, because it's still providing them value. For all that Bumble has said in its history about prioritizing women's health, safety, and agency, when it comes to making money, those values that can never be compromised aren't really worth anything. But things are changing, and so are the apps. Gen Z is hookup adverse. Dating apps have had their reputations tarnished, and people have very little disposable income to throw at a dating app these days. Some apps are incorporating AI or elements of social media to make their platforms more appealing. At the end of the day, the cat is out of the bag when it comes to what these apps are really about. Everyone knows that the claims about being apps designed to be deleted is just a catchy slogan, and they are primarily designed to keep you in a dating loop that makes the platform money. Dating apps may not be in serious trouble yet, but the signs are there that they soon will be if they can't figure out a way to bring in new, younger users. Gen Z, despite being the first generation to have smartphones as part of their life from birth, may be the generation that returns to finding dates in the real world. But even as they reject the apps, the app makers will continue to aggressively pursue them, though for their sake. Hopefully they do it better than Bumble did.